Welcome to the Fortified Life podcast, where we learn how to develop a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. From the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. Here's our host, author, speaker, teacher, encourager, stewardship coach, and my husband, the man they call Mr. Fortified, Jason Davis.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back for another episode of the Fortified Life podcast. I'm Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortified, your host, and it's an honor every week to bring on coaches, authors, speakers, influencers, people who are passionate about developing a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. And it's no different today. Our guest today, I'm really excited to have her on. We always have such riveting conversations and so many great stories. And I promise you, I have all brothers, but when you meet people, I promise they could have been my sister quite easily. Before I bring her on, let me introduce her to you. Rebekah Hansen. Rebekah is the grace whisperer. She works with dynamic women to navigate powering through the drain in spite of exhaustion, overwhelming stress, and feeling alone so they can give themselves guilt-free permission to stop, rest, feel whole, and live the full life they deserve. For the past 20 years, Rebekah has passionately worked with women to thrive in spite of these feelings of brokenness and overwhelm. She encourages them to recognize it is not a selfish act to show self-compassion and seek support, to give themselves guilt-free permission to slow down and rest, and that it's okay not to be okay. Her goal is to offer a community where women can come together and cheer each other forward. She offers workshops, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, and of course, a free Facebook group. We'll talk about that a little later. Rebekah lives in California and has been married for 28 years to the love of her life, John. She is Momma to 4 of the greatest kids on earth, and Glamma, you heard that right, to 3 of the cutest grandbabies in the whole wide world. Just ask her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Fortified Life, Rebekah Hansen. Rebekah, what's going on?
Hey, Jason, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Rebekah, every time we get together, it might be some gaps of time, but whenever we do, it's usually encouraging, explosive, and humorous. So I have no doubt that, by the way, folks, when I say explosive, I say it in a good way. Those of you who get excited in the Lord know what I'm talking about. So that's what I mean. We don't promote violence, obviously, on the show, but Rebekah, it's really good to have you here on the program.
Thank you.
Rebekah, as people hear your bio and your introduction, we know that you didn't just wake up in 2024 and all of a sudden you're just this awesome coach and speaker. So kind of give us your professional background and how God led you to what you do now.
Okay. Well, I'm like, you sure I didn't just wake up? No, just kidding.
Poof, right?
Boom. It's all done. It's that easy.
Yeah.
No, actually I grew up in a pastor's home. And so I was exposed to leading small groups, leading women's groups, leading leadership seminars and so forth. From a very young age, I was really encouraged by my parents to pursue, I guess, what I'd now call a passion I've had pretty much my whole life of seeing and being part of that growth and what's the word I'm looking for? That growth process in people, like the people that really desire to grow, the people that really desire to impact the world around them. Those are the people that I pull toward, those are the people I like to work with and to work with me. And so I guess it started kind of at a younger age. I was kind of thrown into the lion's pit, for lack of a better way to put it. I didn't really have a whole lot of choice. It was a small church in the beginning, and everybody just did their part. And so it's always been a part of kind of who I am. And as I got older, I took part in, just it continued into my adult years. And as I got married and started families, there was just different opportunities would arise where people would need support or help and that type of thing. And I always just loved to be a part of anything like that. And I don't know, people ask me sometimes, well, how'd you get started doing this? It's like, it was just one of those things that kind of naturally followed a path. And, it was just one of those things where it just always felt right, to work with people to bring, to help bring that part of ourselves to the surface, that part that needs, that the light shined on it. And so, yeah, I think I don't even know if it was even my own idea, to be honest with you, in the beginning to start doing this for a business.
Right.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I think it just kind of evolved into something. And I was just like, oh, yeah, this is really cool. I really enjoy doing this. And, that's kind of the story behind how I started doing what I do now. And so, yeah. So it gave me a lot of course, flexibility and that type of things, because I'm very, very much a hands-on mom and now grandma. And so I loved having that something I could just do passionately in, my home life as well as my business life. And that's how that started. So.
Awesome. Well, Rebekah, you talked about the influence of your parents and the home environment. Just for the listeners out there, especially if they're in an advice giving capacity like a coach, just talk about because you said some keywords: helping and loving. And for some people, they wouldn't classify themselves as a people person. So what do you think over time developed in you to where it's like, man, there's just this natural affinity? Like, what did you notice along that journey to where I want to help unlock people and I want to come alongside them and support them in this way? What was it like to have the recognition that you wanted to support people in that way?
I think honestly, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but it was almost selfish in the beginning because I so wanted to grow.
Okay.
I was looking to reach higher. I was looking for people who wanted more. You unfortunately, a lot of times people around us, they're happy to just stay where they are, never growing, never learning, never impacting. They just, it's like me and my four and no more, as my dad used to kind of say. And it's like, I wanted more. I wanted to see lives impacted. I wanted to see movement and growth. I don't even know if I knew what I was looking for in the beginning. I just knew I wanted more. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I love to read. I'm always reading. Somebody mentions a book title, I write it down, I check it out, I see if it's something I'm interested in. It's just like something that's always been that desire to just know more, to grow more, to be more. And when I would catch that in somebody else, I think I would recognize it. And that was kind of like when I would recognize it, it was like a kindred, that kindred spirit, so to speak. And, I started trying to find people that I could learn under and that would show me, and even now it's like, if you're doing what I want to do or what I would like to do, I'm going to find you, hunt you down, and just kidding.
She'll find you.
There's nowhere to go. No, there's, I'm going to try to find somebody that's teaching something that I want to learn or that's willing to show me. And so I think the reason it appeals to me is that, some of the examples of some of the coaching I do is I have coached parents with, difficult teens or tweens that are kind of starting to suddenly not want to hug them back or talking back. They go to sleep, they're angel, and they wake up the next morning and they're like, who switched my kid in the middle of the night? and it was just giving an opportunity to be able to let them know, hey, this is unfortunately normal, but this is also, you're not alone in this. Like, we as parents can bind together. We can come together and we can support one another. And that's like a big part of my underlying message is support, 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 because we cannot do life alone. Cannot do life alone. We need support in every area. We need support to build stronger marriages. We need support to build stronger families. We need support to build stronger businesses. We need to build, support to build, stronger communities, a stronger nation. I mean, whatever you want to put in that little box of, we need support in this area. We do. We just need support. And so I think that's kind of where the spark started being ignited, is when I saw the opportunity to go, oh, well, this issue that caused me so much pain, I can actually use that to help somebody else.
I think it's so interesting, Rebekah, the things that we often struggle with or live through. It's amazing that it's not just for us. It's so that, given us, our own healing journey and working through the trauma, but it just never ceases to amaze me how God can use that if we're open to it, and helping others that come behind us or that are looking for that support that you're talking about. So you get me excited because you said spark, Rebekah, and you provided a spark. Rebekah, I was thinking you were talking about just personal growth and being around like-minded individuals. And I know you've heard this before, that leaders are readers. And so let's book club for just a second. What would you say your top 3 books are, and maybe just a key takeaway that you got from them?
Well, probably my top 3 is The Circle Maker, Mark Hansen. Literally anything the man writes, I will read, because that book was so impactful to me. It came at a time in my life where I needed to learn how to circle that promise, even though I couldn't see it. And it provided almost a for lack of a better way to put it, it wasn't a step-by-step book, but I took it as one. And so that's definitely probably my top book, just because it came at such a pivotal time in my own life. And so it's one of the few books I've gone out and bought in hardback, because anything I can get my hands on through apps or used bookstores, it is on my shelf. But that's when I actually went out and bought it. So that tells you something right there. I'm trying to remember the name. I don't know why my mind is blank on the name, but I believe it's called The Giver.
Okay.
And it's a story about, it basically follows Ordinary through his life as he tries to find something extraordinary. And it resonated so deeply with me about that longing to do something that impacts, and so that was really a good one. Definitely one. It kind of reminded me of the old Pillar of Progress in a way.
Yeah.
But which I read several times when I was in high school. But I really enjoyed that book. In fact, when I started thinking about it, I was like, I'm going to have to find that and read that again, because it's time. And as far as the third, I have so many that there's so many to choose from, but I don't know if it's actual books I will give you for the third one, but I would say anyone who can combine that, any type of growth, leadership, faith, they can bring a lot of those together. Of course, I read, I'm a certified John Maxwell coach, so I definitely am a big John Maxwell fan. And so I do read a lot of his books. And so, but I love impact stories.
Mm.
So, I don't know about number 3. I'd have to kind of, I'm like, ooh, that's one I'm gonna have to. I do highly recommend anything by Kyle Idleman,
Mm.
anything by, like I said, anything by John Maxwell, anything Mark Batterson writes. And so, yeah, I guess I'm like, I love I love books. So you're
Yeah.
putting me in a corner trying to find that third one. I'm like, oh no, oh no.
Just wanted to pick your brain. I also am a reader, so and I agree. With Mark Batterson, my wife is a big fan of his books as well. So I think a lot of listeners will resonate with you there, Rebekah, as his books are so impactful.
Yeah.
And with that word impact, Rebekah, that you really like that for that third category. You yourself impact people as a coach. So let's get into your work as a coach. We know that you use the word support a lot, but working with dynamic women to navigate, powering through the drain in spite of exhaustion. So just unpack some of how God helped you identify, man, this is a big issue that a lot of women struggle with, and then kind of give us some insight into what it's like to actually be coached through your process.
Okay. You might have to remind me of that second part because I get started and I'll get passionate, buddy. And then
Oh, that's okay. We want all the passion. We want it all.
yeah. Well, I love to tell women we are all Wonder Woman.
Mm.
We just don't all look the same in the suit. And by that, I mean that we all have our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And we all don't want to be that same person. We don't want to be carbon copies of each other, but society has almost conditioned us in a way from a very young age. I watch my girls struggle with it. My own daughters struggle with it. I honestly still have struggles with, the expectations that are placed on us. I can't speak for guys, so, because I'm not one. So I can only speak as a wife, a mother, a daughter. And sometimes the expectations for us to be all and do all it's so much pressure and it's so overwhelming. And when we don't hit the mark, we're overwhelmed. We feel like a failure. We feel like, why is everyone else able to do it all? We look around on Facebook and Facebook tells us everyone's doing all these things. All the Pinterest moms are doing all the perfect cupcakes, and ours look like we dropped them on the floor before we brought them. And the Christmas trees are perfect. And I jokingly say, yeah, my Christmas tree is perfect because if we get it up, it's a tree. I mean, there's nothing else on it, but sometimes gets up, because we have this expectation that everything has to look a certain way. And then when it doesn't, we start beating ourselves up. Mm-hmm. And we feel like a failure if our house isn't perfect, if our business isn't making $1 million overnight, because isn't everybody, an instant success? Isn't everybody else doing it? Aren't everyone else's kids, getting accepted into all these great colleges, and our kids are struggling to finish high school, and what's wrong with me as a parent? Why are my kids struggling and nobody else's are? Why, and we question ourselves and we beat ourselves up, and we find that all it does is drain us. I mean, and we wonder why we're exhausted at the end of the day, why we're so tired. And why we're so beaten down, it's because we've beaten ourselves. We've beaten ourselves to that place. And I'm not saying everybody does that. Mm-hmm. I would venture to say the majority of us do it, though. And I'll be the first one to admit I've been very, very guilty of that in more recent times than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
But, and then, something comes along, like in my own story, things are going along. I got 4 kids. Life is very busy. I've got a business, a husband, kids, grandkids. Life is hectic. My house right now, like, you can't hear it probably right this second, but there's renovations going on in the next room over. So there's always something going on. And then something traumatic happens and it completely takes us off our feet, and we wonder why we can't deal with it, why we can't seem to feel better, why we can't seem to get back up on our feet. And we look around, it seems like everybody else's life is going the way we want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting on the side of my bed and thinking to myself, I've got to be the only one that feels this broken. I've got to be the only person in this world that feels this broken, that can't get it together and can't seem to figure out how to have that life I want. I had, a great family. I had all these things going for me, and yet I was so broken because I had just suffered a significant loss. And I remember sitting there thinking, if I ever get out of this bed, if I can ever get back up on my feet, no one will ever feel this alone if I have anything to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of started me toward the path of starting that community of women that we've talked about that can say, life sucks today. And we all say, we know it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to not have the Pinterest, Facebook, whatever life. It's okay to not have everything going the way you're. It's okay to, feel like I hate to use the word feel like a failure, but it's okay to feel that way because we all feel that way. We just don't always like to admit it because we have these expectations that we all need to be these strong women. I mean, I thought my mom is the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. I thought nothing phases her. Yet she sat down with me one time and she says, do you realize how much I felt like a failure? Mm-hmm. Do you realize how often I felt like I just was the only one that couldn't seem to get it right? And I'm thinking, I want to be you when I grow up. I want to be that kind of mom. I want to be that kind of wife. I want to be that kind of person because you're so strong and nothing seems to shake you. And yet inside she felt broken. She felt, she felt all the things I feel. And I think that's where we need to get as probably men too, but I'm just going to speak for ladies, that we need to get that place where we say it's okay to feel that way. And we're not going to kick you while you're down. We're going to hold you up until you can stand up on your own.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So inspiring, Rebekah. So when you're in the community, let's say you had a woman comes to you, man, Rebekah, I'm really struggling with, like, they completely identify what you're talking about. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. Where do you start with them?
Right where they are.
Okay.
Right where they are. We sit down right where you are right now and say, I'm here to listen. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what's going on. However you want to quote unquote word it, I would have to be in the moment, but we have to start right where you are. It's not with the coaching program, it's not a one size fits all. I mean, we're not all the same person. And so it's right where you are. Well, I want this to happen. I want that to happen. Okay. Well, let's start there then. And maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a deeper issue. Let's dig into that when you're ready. So that's, I think the main thing is, we have to quit. And I'm speaking to myself here, what I've had to learn is, we have to quit trying to fit people into what we think they should be and start right where they are.
Well, that's good. That's a golden nugget right there. Rebekah, if you're coach, consultant, because we love frameworks, we love hierarchies and diagrams, but especially in being an impactful coach, I think that's some real wisdom right there, Rebekah. So thank you for sharing that with us. We've kind of been talking around the community the whole time. So we talked about the coaching, meeting ladies where they're at, but the community aspect, Rebekah, sisters embracing grace. It's your Facebook group. So obviously, Rebekah, you're impacting women one-on-one. Where did the idea come from? You know what? We actually need a place to gather. So when did you know, yeah, this is going to be a little bit bigger than me meeting one-on-one? And what was the inspiration to, let's actually bring everybody together in a group and talk about these things?
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned it earlier. The moment it idea came to mind was that day I was sitting on the side of my bed,
Mm-hmm.
too broken to know where to ask for help, who to talk to. And I'm not saying I didn't have people in my life, but sometimes when you're in that place, when you're so beaten and you're so broken, it's hard to reach. People say, I read something the other day and they said, stop telling people to reach out and let's start reaching to them.
Mm.
And so to have a place where it can become known, it's, to me, it's, Facebook group is a Facebook group is a Facebook group. It's not necessarily even important where that is. It's just a place to start.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just need some place to start. And honestly, starting that was just like, I don't know if that's even the right place to be,
Mm-hmm.
but it was easy. It was easy to start a Facebook group and say, let's just have a place where people can come. So, honestly, that came out of just an ease of a place of having it. But I wanted to say, when I'm talking to somebody, and I'm not expecting to get on a call with somebody the first time and they're going to tell me their whole life story and they're going to, pour out, all their out to me that first time. I don't
Mm-hmm.
expect that, of course, but I can say, hey, it took me from the time I was talking about, from the time of my loss, probably about a year, to finally reach out and let somebody know I needed help.
Mm.
A year.
Wow.
So if there's a place where people can come that's not scary, that's, in the beginning, maybe it's a little easy to it's easy to jump into a group. It's easy to jump into a group and just watch and listen and read and that type of thing, and an easy place people could come, and then from that, hopefully those that are truly looking to have that life that, they desperately want, they'll reach in further, at that point. But yeah, having that group was just it's just a place for people to come together to say, hey, let's come in here, and I'll be the first one to get on. I was telling you earlier, I get on once a week live, and I'm the first one to tell you, sometimes I have trouble following, that advice to tell myself it's okay to not be okay.
Mm.
I'll be the first one to tell you sometimes it's hard for me to say enough is enough and set up a healthy boundary and rest and do all those things. But I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep encouraging you, and I'm going to keep, that door open and keep letting people know there's other people out there like you. We're all in this. We need to all be in this together.
Yeah.
Somewhere, it's just somewhere to be. It's somewhere to be, it's okay. Like, I don't know any other way to put it, but it's just like, it's just a place where you can just say it's okay to not be okay. That's one of the biggest things. Cause I wanted somebody to tell me that when I was in the midst of this grief. People tell you, you have to be, you should be over it by now. You should be this, you should be that. But it was such an impactful thing. I wanted somebody to tell me it's okay to be mad.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to get mad at the person that you lost. It's okay to get, and this may be controversial, and I'm going to say it anyway, but it's okay to get mad at God. He's a big boy. He can handle it. It's okay to do that. Just don't stay there. And that's why you come in here and you come to this community, come to this safe place, and you say, this is what I'm feeling. And you say, it's okay to feel that way. Now let's do something about it.
Yeah. That call to action, the word that was coming to me, Rebekah, as you were talking, was a safe haven,
Mm-hmm.
a place to come. And, if you're just sitting back listening, that's okay. And if you're ready to unpack it, that's okay. Either way, we're here for you. Wow. Right. Such a powerful place. And folks, don't you worry. We'll have the show notes. You're like, man, Rebekah gave books and she has a community and she has this. Don't you worry. We'll have it all. on the show notes, go to jerichoforce.com and find the section that says podcast show notes, and it will be there. I promise you. Rebekah, you're getting them all fidgety because you're like, she's given so many different things. What do I do? You'll be able to find her Facebook group and the book recommendations and her website, no doubt. Now, Rebekah, we are in February 2024. In fact, folks, if you could see her, she's got the XOXO shirt, and this is the week of Valentine's Day, so it's really, really funny. But Rebekah, what would you say you're excited about in the coming months in 2024?
Oh my goodness. I think my biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is who. It's not a thing, it's a who. Who am I going to meet, work with, work beside, come alongside with? Like, who is that going to be that I'm going to, be able to, we're going to be able to impact each other's lives, that we're going to be able to get to the root of an issue. We'll be able to get to, let each other know that it's okay to not be okay, to get to that place where, like you said, like that place of safety and space. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to a what. I think I'm looking forward to a who, because I tell you, the best part of doing what I do and being who I am is the people I have met.
Rebekah, I like that. Who?
The who, yeah. I have met the most amazing people, fellow coaches, clients, mentors, my own coaches. I mean, I have met some of the most amazing people, and that in itself is priceless.
Very
so that's
cool.
What I'm looking forward to, the who.
Folks, she might have established something new now. There's always events and things like that. She said, nah, Jason, I'm looking forward to who am I going to meet or sit down with? So folks, all these nuggets of wisdom being dropped today. So you definitely are going to want to go back and listen to this episode on demand, which brings us up to, as we get ready to close, Rebekah, you have shared impactful books. You've shared your story. You've been very transparent about the journey. Now people want to know, where can they find you? So we've talked about who, we talked about what, we've talked about when. Now where? Where now can they find
you? Probably the easiest place to find me. I always tell people the easiest place to find me is either on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Because I do tend to stand out with my colorful hair, and I'm always usually in pink. So look for pink, spiky haired weirdo. So on LinkedIn, or I do have a website that people can email me through, and that is RebekahHansenCoach.com. Rebekah with a K-A-H, and Hansen with an E, not an O. And so people finding me either way, that way they can drop a message and just say, hey, let's talk, or let's, I'd love to hear more. And I'm always open to a conversation. That's my biggest thing is, not sure you need help. That's okay. Let's talk. Not sure you're ready. That's okay. Let's talk. Ready and willing to start now. Okay, let's talk. So always open to a conversation.
Love it, folks. Rebekah Hansen, she said, you know where to find me. So she's open to a conversation. We'll have her website, social media handles. Again, go to jerichoforce.com in the podcast show notes section, and you will find all the resources and contact information for her. Rebekah, this has been such a wonderful conversation. We were chatting offline, and there's always such exciting things going on that you have to share, but really want to thank you for taking time to hang out with us here on the Fortified Life podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
Yes. And Rebekah, happy Valentine's Day.
See you.
Love it. Well, folks, that's all we have time for today. You know how we end things. Don't compartmentalize your faith in the marketplace. And remember, from the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. We'll see you next time on the Fortified Life podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Fortified Life podcast. You can catch us live on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and on demand. Check out fortifieddlifepodcast.com for more details. To learn how to live out your faith in the marketplace, grab a copy of Jason Davis's book, Fortified, Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business, available on Amazon.